Welcome all the viewers to this session. In this session we are going to discuss about the types and classification of computers. So myself Mr. Vijay Kumar HB, Assistant Professor of Computer Science from Government First Grade College, Hangal, Karnataka University, Dharwad. So before we go deep into the types and classification of computers, so let us recall what we have discussed in the previous classes. So in the previous class, so we have discussed about the generations of computers. The generations of computer, so the classification of the electronic computers, so which started in the year 1946. So from 1946, so we have seen several computers so built by using different hardware and software technologies. So the major changes in the hardware technology and software being used, so based on this the classification is done into 5 generations. So generation 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. In the generation first, so we have seen the major component being used in the construction of the electronic circuit was the vacuum tubes. And later in the second generation, so we have seen the major change in terms of hardware was the transistor being used in the place of the vacuum tubes. The efficient vacuum tube was replaced with the transistors. The inefficient vacuum tubes were replaced with the efficient transistors. So that was the major development in the second generation computers. And later in third generation, so we have seen the adaptation of the IC chips that was invented in 1951 and which was being used in the third generation computers. So that was the third generation. And later in the fourth generation, so we have seen the improvement over the previous ICs, so being used in the third generation. So we have seen the development like SSI, LSI and VLSI and ULSI. So these are the different kinds of technologies, so which is used to fabricate the ICs. So in the fifth generation, so fifth generation is still in development stages. The major feature of the fifth generation is the development of the artificial intelligence. So that is the intelligence is given to the computers. So the major change will be this, and that is in still developmental stage. So later when it is fully adapted, so the computers will be able to think like human beings. So that's regarding the generations of computers, so we have discussed in the previous class. The classification of computers can be done so based on different criterias being considered, based on the criteria being used to define to categorize the computer. The computer can be categorized into different categories. So the major criterias so used here so will be based on the purpose, so based on the principles of data handling, and based on the size and performance of computers. So based on these criteria, so the computers can be categorized into different categories. So that the broad classification so is shown here. the classification here based on the purpose. So the computers can be classified as general purpose and the specific purpose computers. So and if you consider the data handling, the principle of data handling, so the computers can be divided into analog computers, digital computers and hybrid computers. So that is based on the principles of data handling, how the computer handles, so in what mode the computer handle the data. So based on that, so based on the size and capability of the computers can be classified as the microcomputers, mini computers, mainframe computers and supercomputers. So that is based on the size and capability. The microcomputers are very popular nowadays. So it is again further divided into two categories, the desktop PCs and portables. So portables, again we have two categories, so laptop PC and palm top, or you can say portables. So portables, so that is how the computer is classified into different categories, so based on the different criteria being considered. So let us discuss so these categories so one by one in detail. Okay, first the classification of computers based on purpose. So based on the purpose, so for what purpose the computer being used, so based on this the computer can be categorized into two major categories, so general purpose computers and specific purpose computers. So the general purpose computers so will be designed to perform a range of tasks. So these computers are designed or constructed to perform a varieties of tasks by changing the software. So here in general purpose computer, the instructions so which are being executed is inbuilt within the software. So it is given as a software. So that means the computer first, so it will load the software into its memory, and based on the software it starts working. So that is how the general purpose computers will work. So by changing the software, so you can make the same computer to work differently, so with different tasks. So that is about the general purpose computers. So example for this category is the computers used in schools, banks, hospitals, etc. So these computers are considered the general purpose computers, and when it is used in school, so it will perform the job of the school. And the same computer, general purpose computer, if it is kept in a bank and the banking software installed on it, so it works like a banking person. And if it is kept in the hospital and the hospital software is installed on it, so it works like a hospital person. So that is the same general purpose computer so will act differently, so in different places according to the software being used to run this software, this computer. So that is the general purpose computer. So then we have the specific purpose computer. So the specific computer are designed to perform a particular task. So apart from this task, the computer will not be able to do any other job. So here the instructions, so which is required by the computer to carry out the job is inbuilt within the hardware. So it is incorporated within the hardware, and as soon as the system is switched on, so it just starts executing those instructions which are embedded in hardware. So and it just carries out the task assigned to it. So the instruction, so because it is incorporated within the hardware, so it cannot be easily changed and make the computer to work differently to carry out different jobs. So example for this category is MRI scanning machine, so used in hospital. So you might have seen this machine. So it is used to scan the human body. So when the machine is switched on and human body is presented to it, so it just scans the whole body, and it diagnoses it and give the report of the whole human body. So apart from this, so this machine cannot be used for any other purpose. So that's about the classification of computers, so based on the purpose. So next we have the classification of computers, so based on principles of data handling. So the data, I mean, what kind of data it handles. So what mode the computer works. So based on this, the computers can be divided into analog computers, so digital computers, and hybrid computers. So analog computers so works on the principle of measuring. So it measures the continuously changing quantities such as pressure, temperature, so the and other physical or analog signals, so which takes these continuously changing signals and which is translated into data, and finally it works on it. So that is how basically the analog computer works. So these computers are very fast in operation but lack in accuracy. So because it measures the continuously changing physical quantities, and these measurements will be translated into data. It is very very fast in operation. So but the accuracy is not up to the mark we expect. So example for this computers is the speedometer of a car, or flight simulators. So these are the devices or computers, so which measures the the physical quantities, and based on this it works. So then we have the digital computers. So digital computers operates with information represented in digital form. So that is the values, so discrete values. It takes the discrete values from the input devices, and it works on it. So that is how the digital computers works. So it works on the data, so which is in the form of discrete values. So that means the real numbers. So accuracy of these computers depends on size of their registers and memory. So basically these digital computers are very accurate in its performance, and compared to the analog computers, so they are a little bit slower. So example for this digital computers is the desktop PC, the normal desktop PC. So what we see in everywhere, in every office, what we see is belongs to this digital computers. So then we have the hybrid computers. So these computers will employ the features of both digital as well as the analog computers. So some parts of this computers so will work in the analog mode, and some other part will work in digital mode. So these computers employ both the features of digital as well as the analog computers. So example for this category is the industrial process control systems, so which are used in the large huge industries to control the machineries. So these systems are considered the hybrid computers. So then we have the classification of computers, so based on size and performance. So based on how big it is, so the computers and the kind of technology being used, so they can be classified into the different types. So microcomputers, so mini computers, so mainframes, and supercomputers. So let us discuss these computers in detail, so one by one. So the microcomputers. So first one is the microcomputers. So these microcomputers are based on the microprocessor technology. So microprocessor is a single IC chip, so which performs the job of the CPU. So what we were having in the earlier systems. So that is in mini computers, mainframes, and the supercomputers. So here we will be having different component, so different unit, so for each components of CPU. So that is the memory unit, the arithmetic logic unit, control unit. So these units so will present in different different units in these computers. So but in microprocessor, so microprocessor technology is advanced technology which is introduced in the 4th generation computers. So what we were doing with the CPU, that is the separate the ALU and separate memory unit and separate control unit, what we were observing in the earlier computers, so will be done with a single IC chip measuring about 2-inch width and 2-inch length. So that is the size of the microprocessor, so which does the job of the whole CPU which was earlier doing. So these computers are small, very small in its size. So these computers are very small in its size and cost very low. So and these are very popular these days, and almost everywhere. So these microcomputers will be used, and these computers so will be used to perform simple tasks like word processing, graphics rendering, and data processing. So these kind of office work so will be done by using these computers. And these microprocessors can be further divided as desktops and portables. So desktops are the microcomputers so which can be placed in on a table and which should be worked. So it will have a separate CPU, and it will have a separate display unit and keyboard and mouse. So these components are connected to the main system, and it should be work carried out and sitting in front of the table. So that is the desktop basis. So it cannot be carried very easily to different places, even though it is portable. So it's not frequently carried to different places. So it will be kept in on a table, and it will be worked where it is kept. So that is desktop. And we have portables. So portables again we have, so these computers, so these microcomputers are very light in weight, so they can be easily carried to different places, and normally they are supported with internal battery, and you can work with that internal battery by carrying this device to any required place. So the portables can be divided into again the laptops and the palm tops. So palm tops, these are the two categories. So laptop is a small computer, so which fits on a human lap. So it can be kept on the lap of human being, and it can be worked. So it measures from 1.7 kilograms to up to 5 kilograms. So all the work so which can be done by desktop so can be done with the laptops also. So the laptop will be having the internal battery, so which supplies power to the system. So that is about the laptops. And we have palm tops. So again they are still smaller than these laptops, so which is having a size so which can be fit on the human palm. So they are not much powerful like desktops and laptops. So they are supported with a less powerful CPU and less memory, and so are used in the retailer outlets to capture some information regarding the products. So then we have the mini computers. So that is the second category in this size and performance based criteria. So they are larger and more powerful than the microcomputers. So they are being used in the third generation computer. So they are having a large CPU that will have a separate unit for as memory, and a separate unit for CPU and also control unit. So it will be having a very powerful CPU, and to this many terminals can be connected. So it's a multi-user and multi-processor system. So multi-user means so many user can share the system and carry out their work. And also it is a multi-processor. That means sometimes so many processor will be present within the single CPU, and the work to be done so can be is shared with these processors. That is multi-processor systems. And normally these computers so will be used in carrying out the real-time processing. So the real-time processing is this the situation where we require so very immediate response. So when a when it is required. So example for this mini computers or process control systems used in industries, and telephone switching system which is used in telephone offices. These are the mini computers. And then we have the mainframe computers. So they are still larger and more powerful than the microcomputers, and also they are multi-user and multi-processor systems. So multi-user in already we have explained in the previous category. That means many user. So in mini computers, so the number of user which can be connected is between 20 to 50 users. So but mainframes, so it can you can connect up to 200 users, and again they are multi-processor systems. So you can see these computers, mainframe computers, in second generations of computers. They are normally used in the places so where we have IO intensive transactions. So that means the input and output operations will be very large, and we have very less scope for the CPU. So CPU is not having much work. Only the input and output devices will have the much work. And these computers you can see in the banking sector, and you can observe the banking sector will be having these mainframe computers. So then we have the supercomputers. Supercomputers are very large parallel processing beasts, so with very large memory. So they are employed in ultra high performance applications such as weather forecasting, aircraft design, and so on. So it is used in the places so where we have very complex calculation and very they are CPU intensive jobs. So where we have the much work for the CPU and less work for input output devices. So in these conditions the supercomputers will be used. So that's about the classification of computers. So now let us discuss about the characteristics and applications of computers. The characteristics of computers. So today the world has reached a situation so where without using the computer it is not able to carry out any job at all. So we have reached such a condition. So we have depend on the computer so much. So without the computer nothing will happen in this world. So if you the computers are so popular, so there must be some special characteristics so which makes this computers so very popular. So because they are used everywhere, so they should be having some special characteristics in it. So the special characters so the computers will have so which are not present in the human beings or listed here. So the special features of the computers are its speed, so its accuracy, storage capacity, versatility, diligence, automation and cost effectiveness. These are the special characters so which makes the computers very useful. So let us discuss so one by one individually in detail. So the speed. So you might have seen how fast the computer works. So if a job is given to it, so you can get it done so within a blink of eyes. So within the blink of eyes, so you can the computers can finish the work so which will take weeks together by human beings. So that is the speed of today's computers. So the speed of today's computers so will be measured in terms of nano and picoseconds. So nano means so 10 to the power of minus ninth of a second. So that is, so if you divide 1 second so by a number, so 1 followed by 9 zeros. So if you take that fraction, so with in that fraction the computer can execute a instruction. So instruction means, say for example, if you want to add two numbers, so two numbers, so that will be one instruction in terms of computers. So that instruction, so when it is carried out, it takes that much fraction. So 1 divided by 1 followed by 9 zeros. So that is 1 nanosecond or 1 picosecond. So picosecond is again 10 to the power of minus 12th of a second. So that is the speed of today's computer. So it works at very high speed, and the job so which takes years or years together, so months and years together by human beings, so can be carried out on computer so within a fraction of a second. So that is how fast the computer works. The speed of computers can also be measured in terms of KIPS and MIPS. KIPS, so kilo instructions per second or million instructions per second. So that is, so several kilo or million instructions so can be performed in a second. So that is how the computer process data, so in that speed. So next we have the accuracy. So accuracy is the reliability. So that means how accurately the computers will perform the job. So that is the accuracy. So even though the computers are very fast in its calculation, so it never does any mistake in its calculations. So we are all human beings, so our tendency is to do mistakes when you are doing monotonous work. So being a machine, so the computer will never do any mistake by its own. So only thing is, if you are given the program incorrect, so then only it gives the error. So apart from that, the computer will never does any mistake in its calculation. So that is the accuracy of computer. So then we have the storage capacity. The storage capacity of the computers will be very large. So today's computer with the normal configuration, so you will be provided with 1 terabyte of the 1 terabyte of storage. So that is hard disk. So with that hard disk, so you can store the information, so which is there in millions or billions of books. So in that book, the whole information what we have, if you feed those information into this single 1 terabyte of hard disk, so the hard disk will not fill even 50%. So half of it will not be filled. So that is the storage capacity of hard disk. And moreover, this hard disk so will oddly measure about 1 to 1.5 kilograms. So that is the size of the hard disk, so which holds so this much of information. So then we have the versatility. So versatility is the so by changing the different program, so we can make the computer to work differently. So that is versatility. The same computer can be utilized to carry out a different job. So unlike human beings, so human beings are very rigid. So if they are expertise in a particular activity, so you will not be knowing any idea about the other activities. So unlike this, so the computer will be able to carry out the any jobs. That means they are flexible in adapting to the new environment. So it can be the computer, so which which is adapted, so which is kept to carry out the work of the bank, so can be easily adapted to carry out the job of the hospital. So the job in hospital, the same computer, so without making much changes in it. So that is versatility. They are very flexible, so it can be adapted to any job. So it can be adapted to any job. So then we have diligence. So diligence is how strong it is. So because it's a machine, so it is not having any emotions like a human being. So it never says I am tired when it is given work from morning to evening. So unlike human beings, so if you it can work 24 hours a day and 7 days a week and 365 days a year. So it never say I am tired and I am so that is it's very strong, and it can carry out the work. So it can carry out the monotonic work, so without giving a break. So that means it's very strong in carrying out the monotonous work. So then we have the automation. So automation is automatically carrying out the job. So once the job is given to the computer and it starts executing it, so it doesn't require any human intervention. unless it requires any input data from the user. So it doesn't require any human intervention. So it automatically carries out the work assigned to it without much human intervention. So that is automation. So then we have the cost effectiveness. So cost effectiveness, the ratio between the price of the computer and the work it does. So that is the cost effectiveness. So once the initial investment is done and you installed a computer, so it never requires so much maintenance. So the maintenance cost will be very lesser for the computers. So unlike human beings, so human being, you have to pay him monthly wages for doing the job. So but the machine, once it is installed, it never asks for the salary, and it will not cost much to maintain it. So that is, it is very cost effective to install a computer rather than carrying out manually. So that is about the characteristics of computers. So then, so we'll discuss about the applications of computers in different areas of work of a human being. So application of computers in education. So in education system, the computer can be used for several jobs. So like control, delivery and evaluation of learning. So we have a popular tool called CBE. So that is computer based education. So which is used, it's a education tool, so which involves control, delivery and evaluation of learning. So by using which, so you will be having facilities like computer aided learning. So that means the learning process will be assisted by using the computers. And distance learning. So by using the power of the web and internet, so we can do this. So that is distance learning. So the person sitting in remote places, so can learn any topic, so without reaching the any university or any school, any school. And also he can attend online examination, so sitting at his home. So these are how the computers can be adapted in computer in education. So then application of computers in business, how the business can adapt the use of computers to carry out its daily work. So it can be used for communication, marketing, accounting, storage and documents and report creation. So this is how a business enterprise can make use of the computer to carry out his regular work. So it can be used to communicate the ideas, so between the different persons, and also it can be used to market the products. So it can be used to market the products online and so on. So accounting, so it is keeping track of all the accounting details of the business. And you have storage. So that means you can store a very large database, and that can be shared among the different employees of the enterprise. And also it can be used to prepare the documentation and the reports of the business. So in this way the computers can be used in business. So then application of computers in science and engineering, how the science and engineering can adapt the computer to carry out its work. So it can be used to carry out the complex computations, and it can be used to analyze the data captured in doing different experiments, and also it can be used to model. It can be used in the scientific modeling. So, and complex calculations can be carried out by this, and also you can store the data, so which is originated from different experiments, and also you can use to transfer the data to different places, and also it can be used for mapping, collaboration, and so on. So that is how it can be adapted in the place of science and engineering. So then we have the application of computers in medicine. So in medical field, so it can be used to diagnose the system, to diagnose the patient and come into conclusion. So the computer can assist in this, and also it can be used for lab diagnosis. So lab, so when you take so if you take the test, so that test can be carried out in a laboratory, and the computer can assist in it. So and also it can be used for patient monitoring, the ICU. So the ICU will be controlled by the computers. So pharma information, that means so the medical medicine, so medicinal information can be stored in the computers, and it can be get, and the computers can assist in surgery, and to keep track of the patient history. So these actions so can be done with the help of computer in the field of medicine. Application of computers in agriculture. So in agriculture, so the computers can be used to farmland assessment. So that is to test the soil and check if any deficiency is there in the soil or not. The computers can be adapted, and also it can be used to plan the plantation. So the plantation can be planned by using the computer, and also the harvesting of the crops can be done by the agriculture, and also it can assist in irrigation. So this is how the agriculture can use the computer to carry out the job of the agriculture. Application of computers in entertainment. So today's entertainment world is nothing so with the use of the computer. So you might have seen very special effects which can be which can admire peoples. So these special effects so will be created by using the computers. So the computers in entertainment industry can be used for editing the music, and giving special effects in the movies. Post and pre-production work so will be done by the computers, and also in creation of video games. So in creation of video games, the computer will be used. So that is how the entertainment industry so will make use of the computer to carry out its work. So that is about the application of computers in different different areas of human activity, and these are the references so which you can go through to get further information. So fundamentals of computers by V. Rajaraman, PHI publications. A first course in computers by Sanjay Saxena, Vikas Publishing House, and we have Computer Fundamentals by Pradeep K. Sinha and Preeti Sinha, and we have Introduction to Computer Concepts by Rajesh Hongal, and for the photographs we have used in this presentation, I referred Wikipedia. So that's about the references, and thank you for watching, and keep watching my videos, and keep supporting me. Thank you once again.